then you can do so by
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Audible, Amazon Music, iTunes, TuneIn, Podchaser, Spreaker, Rumble, Tiki Live, and more. Why so many places? Well, I want a maximum splatter zone for more hope and happiness because I'm on a happy 88 mission. 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And so I have topics and shows. This is number 787 to that end. And I don't want you to think about gossip or scandal or K-words, Kardashian talk. So I just focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. Today's topic is for anyone who is an entrepreneur, solopreneur, thinking about having their own business, not quite sure how to step out, or you've stepped out and you're wondering if you're on the right track, or if you're on the right track and you just want some free advice from Dr. Marissa, as I put on my hat as an organizational psychologist and a solopreneur myself who's been in my own businesses. I think we're up to 8 for the past hashtag ageless number of years. So that's what we're doing today. Thank you for rolling your eyeballs. I see them coming in. If you are driving and listening to the AM FM stations, then when you get to your location, please go to my YouTube channel, free subscribe. You'll see the live streaming, or I say love streaming feed, where you can actually ask questions or comment yourself. If you're a business owner and you have some free tips to share, please do come and join me this morning. Also, newly streaming on LinkedIn, my fabulous business family, as well as my Facebook Live, which I've had for many years as well, and have a lot of people in my love burrito there who have been extremely supportive and wonderful about that. So we're ready to chat this morning. But before we talk about small business PR branding strategy, also I'm offering a free audit. So if you have a website or you're building a website and you want us to look at it either on the air now or later, please do let me know at drmarissa.life. But as per usual, and especially on Monday mornings, because that's the day that not a lot of people like, Monday. And even though it's sunny outside, you may feel inside. Rainy days and Mondays always. But I'm changing it. Get me up. And hashtag up is unlimited possibilities. So we start with breakfast of a gratitude sandwich. And the top of my bun are 8 specific gratitudes for what you want in your life, what you want more in your life. And, you know, the law of attraction says what you focus on grows bigger. So if you focus on the things that you don't like and don't want, those will grow bigger. If you focus instead on those things that you do want and that you appreciate, guess what? They grow bigger. So this is a Blisscipline, hashtag Blisscipline, that I started on the show. We're going on like 8 months. And I have already heard from people who say it has made a tremendous difference in their life. The late, great Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's just on the other side, he says 5 specific gratitudes. I say 8. Because 8 is a lucky number in Chinese. Even though I know you thought I was Swedish, I'm actually Chinese, born in Canada. So you just heard the Canadian in that little thing. I am going to start off by saying I am grateful to live in sunny Southern California. That's one. I'm grateful that I got new deck chairs and I actually got to spend my morning communing with the beauty that is outside of my building, with the ocean and the clouds and the birds flying by. It was just absolutely beautiful. I think that's 3, 4, 5 gratitudes. Number 6 is that the lifeguard tower that is painted in rainbow, that is within look distance from me, was burnt down by some haters and rebuilt by the same people who I think it was in the lifeguard or fire department or both, who put it back up, and it's there and it's beautiful. And one of my Tai Chi students, one of my faithful Tai Chi students, Dion, said, I never noticed that. And he's been coming here doing my class on Saturday. I'm grateful that I still get to teach balanced Tai Chi Gong. And for those of you who missed the class, want to put it in your calendar last Saturday of the month, and or go to my website and get a download. And that'll be the Asian Oprah giveaway today. You get a download of my balanced Tai Chi Gong practice. It is promoting inner peace, one breath at a time. If you go to drmarissa.life and put breath or breath work in the subject line, and you'll get a download for that. That's 8 specific gratitudes. And now the bottom of the bun, which I actually want you to do at the end of the night. And also gratitude for the hearts and the likes that are coming in on my stream. Thank you. Please say hello on the chat if you'd like. And that way I can put your mug in, or not your mug, but your name on the screen. All right. Now, the bottom of the bun, you actually do at the end of the night before you go to bed. And for those of you who have trouble falling asleep or trouble staying asleep, this is specifically for you. If you have sleep problems, or you know anybody with sleep problems, I guarantee that if you make this part of your hashtag Blisscipline, then you will have a good night's sleep. Because what normally happens before you go to bed is, if you're a recovering control freak or recovering perfectionist or recovering overachiever, your mind goes a million miles a minute and you're thinking about all the things you have to do tomorrow, the things that you didn't do or forgot to do or didn't get done for the day. The last person who insulted you and getting mad at them, and or ending the day the same way you started by doing this, which is called, I call it, what was that new term? Not doom scrolling, but something like waste of my time scrolling, or it doesn't matter scrolling, or shake. Oh, I know what it was. SMH, shake my head scrolling. So instead of doing that, if you want to have a good night's sleep, then this is what I'm suggesting for you. 8 specific things that you appreciate about yourself. And that's not easy for those of us who grew up being told you're not all that, or grew up being told don't toot your own horn. And we've have a generation of people who are constantly looking with their antenna for likes. And with social media, that's literally, how many likes am I getting? How many positive comments am I getting? And it's a doom kind of lens to look through. Because if you can't approve of yourself, then how the fork do you think other people can approve of you? So with this gratitude exercise, the bottom of the bun is 8 specific appreciations that you have of yourself. So I will give you an example for me for, let's see if I did this last night, or I'll do a combo. I appreciate that I am funny. And looks aren't everything. No, I'm kidding. That I'm funny, which is important because I had a husband who told me I was not funny almost every single day of our 9.2 year sentence of a marriage. But don't worry. Chapter 4 in my book is from hatred into forgiveness. And I definitely I don't regret that marriage at all. I have 2 beautiful girls. Oh, I forgot to say that's one of my gratitudes. Chloe and Sarah coming down for Sarah's birthday in a couple of weeks. So I'm super grateful for that. I appreciate that I am a good mom 88% of the time. Appreciate that I am pretty verbal. I've overcome my Chinese roots where you just don't speak as an Asian woman. I appreciate that I am 88% of the time careful about what I say. I follow Dr. David Simon, who is the co-founder of the Chopra Center. He said, is it kind, is it true, or is it necessary? And if I can't say yes to all three, keep your mouth shut. So I follow that most of the time, 88% of the time. 5, I appreciate that I am stylish. I love dressing up because it makes me feel good and finding things that match and my unique style. I appreciate that I care most of the time about people, places, and things. I appreciate that I have a really good sense of taste and that I'm a huge foodie that enjoys really good food. And finally, I appreciate that I am resilient, that no matter what happens, I am going to step forward with no fear most of the time. Fear standing for future events already ruined. So that's the gratitude sandwich that I have breakfast with you at the beginning of the show pretty much every day. And if you are doing that for the first time, I encourage you to do this for 30 consecutive days and you will feel better. Your days are going to be better because that's just the way the law of attraction works. It's like gravity. It works whether you think it does or not. But when you start your day and end your day in the most positive way, then your day cannot help but follow suit in between. Okie dokie. That was breakfast. Let's give myself a little applause for doing that one, especially because I did that by myself. Sometimes I have co-hosts to help. And I am going to today, we'll see, I offered this up. I had a couple people say yes, but then I didn't hear back from them. One of the hats that I get to wear is my PhD is actually in organizational psychology. So that is business psychology. It's a combination of the two fields. It's a relatively new field, and we cover a large breadth of topics, including leadership and change and communication. So with those three, I have, along with my own experiences building several businesses. I lost one business through the divorce, but I have built a mini empire for myself, which is my Happy 88 mission, which expresses through a number of different channels or avenues. And through that, I have learned, sometimes the hard way, how to brand, how to market, how to PR, especially as a solopreneur with not a lot of capital. So if you are at all interested in working and learning how you specifically can how your website's doing, how your advertisements are doing, what you're doing in terms of public relations, then that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'll probably be picking on some people who have small businesses and taking a look at what they are offering and giving my experience on what works and what doesn't work. So that's the topic for today. And the reason why I'm doing this is I have a beautiful friend. Her name is Cheryl Snapp Conner, and she's in Utah, and she's a PR strategist extraordinaire. And she has been doing this for decades, even though she's #ageless too. And a number of years ago, she was kind enough to actually feature me in a Forbes Magazine article, and it was called, let's see if I can bring this up. It was called PR Strategies for a one-person company. And it's funny because I think at that point, solopreneur was not actually a term. So I like the fact that it has, everything's evolving, and that is one of the, there it is. I'm going to bring that up so you can see. So there you go. There's your, you recognize her. And when the entire staff of your business is just you, how do you handle public relations? Do you hire someone, do it yourself? And as an influencer, speaker, coach, or author, how do you represent yourself and your services without sounding arrogant or desperate? So this week I spoke to a woman who's been at the helm of a one-person business twice for a total of, now that was 28 years. I'm over 30 now. And yes, I was a single parent as well. So what I've done is given, you recognize him? John Travolta, one of my favorite people, and Halle Berry. So Cheryl was very instrumental. Actually, she got me into Inc. magazine as well because I got a photo credit of interviewing Ed Snowden, which was at Secret Knock, and my fabulous friend Greg Reed, who brings the most interesting people and wonderful people. He has another one coming up. It may be sold out, so you'll have to go check out Secret Knock. But he invites me there to cover the carpet and also speak on his stage. And some of you may remember just last fall, I believe, about a year ago, when I got to in the spring, I got to interview Carol Baskin from Tiger King. Yeah. So that's a fun thing for you to go side commercial for Greg. But what I wanted to talk about today was some of the things that I gave you for advice on the article. And since that article actually came out, the book that I was about to publish, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, I did not hire a marketing person. I did it myself because I didn't have $250,000 to pay one of the publishers that was asking for for that kind of money to put it on the New York Times bestseller list. And that's something that I'm not going to say who it was, and I'm not going to say how they do it. But unfortunately, since self-publishing has come into play, you have people who actually can buy their way into lists, which was one of the most disappointing things as a new author to find out. But I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to, when I didn't have the $250,000, still paying off that divorce. Why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. And again, chapter 4, out of hatred into forgiveness. We're good. But the reality was I didn't have $250,000 to put into the marketing. But I'm going to tell you some of the ways that I marketed this book that were for free. Ended up, and the quality of the book, I do believe, because those of you who don't know, this is a self-help book on steroids. There's exercises in here, and I didn't write the book as a psychologist telling you how to be happy. I wrote the book as one of the 7 or 8 out of 10 of us who have had childhood trauma and feel like they're never going to get ahead. They don't have a right to be happy. So if you haven't read the book, go on Amazon. You can read the reviews, and all right, I'm feeling generous today. The second Asian Oprah giveaway is a download, the audiobook where I actually read it, of this book. Go to drmarissa.life and put down in the subject line 8 Ways to Happiness, and I'll get that out to you. So one of the strategies I used to get that book on, number 1, Amazon, and number 4, Denver Post. It was not done by my publisher. a great publisher, Morgan James, but in order to keep their costs down, you do your own marketing, and you let them know what you're doing, and they will certainly, support you in that. But how did I get into every single? This is advice for authors who want PR and don't want to pay for it. All right. So just to frame that, the first thing that I did was I actually did have an assistant at the time who I asked her to compile every single bookstore, major bookstore at Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, and Chapters Indigo, which is North America books. And I asked her to give me, she put an Excel sheet together of the manager, the phone number, the location, the size. And I went down and I started with the largest size of bookstore and the closest. So for those of you who wrote a book and you self-published, from my experience, most major bookstores will not take in self-published books to have a book signing unless it's local, because they want to see traffic. So there is hope. I'll never forget when I was posting that I had a book signing at the Barnes and Noble at Burbank. I had someone who I thought would have an easy way to get in a bookstore to do book signing. He was the former director of operations at Tony Robbins. So he wrote a book on sales, and I'm like, I can't believe you don't have a way in. And he's like, well, I self-published. I chose to self-publish. And because of that, he didn't, but I gave him, the advice to go to his local Barnes and Noble, local, whatever bookstore that is, indie bookstores, and just say, this is who I am. I live here. I have a following. I can bring in people to the bookstore. And that's a free PR strategy for you authors that are not listed or do not have a traditional publisher. You still can get in, but this is also a decision that I made. You get more money if you self-publish, for sure, because you only get a percentage of the royalties. In a traditional publisher, it used to be 20. It's now more like 15. And it is not off the list price. It is off of the negotiated price, which I found out was less than half of my list price of $16.95, which was a literally rude awakening. But again, I'm sharing these things with you free, so that you can make a decision on whether to do traditional publishing or self-publishing. So I really called I made probably 250 calls to different bookstores. And the reason why I did that and didn't just do a blind email is you may not have the right email, you may not have the right person. So it's worth your time to call them and just say, and this is what I would say, hi, I'm Dr. Marissa. I'm also known as the Asian Oprah. That usually makes them laugh. And I was actually introduced to Oprah by the Asian Oprah. I'm not calling myself that, by Michael Bernard Beckwith, if you're tuned in for the first time. And then I say, I have a new book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. I've already had a book signing and then I had, what's the word for, gosh, I've lost it. It's Monday morning. The word for, I launched the book, thank you, at a small bookstore, Fern's Garden. It's an indie, beautiful place. It's a friend of mine, and that was on 2nd Street. So whatever you've already done, I've had a book signing here, I've had a book signing here, then they know that you've already done it. There were how many people there were how many books bought, so they know statistically. And that way you are personalizing your introduction. A lot of people now blind email, which is really, it saves time, but it doesn't necessarily help your brand. It doesn't necessarily up the percentage of you being able to have a book signing at a major bookstore. Once you get one, And I did one, I started with a local, which is Marina Pacifica Barnes and Noble. I had one there actually a number of times. I, got to know the people. It did help that I had a column in the local paper, The Sun. So I brought that in as well. So if you don't have these things necessarily, you can do these things. Anybody, as I said in the article, can do their own PR and branding with a very small budget, but you have to put in the footwork and you can't just sit and meditate to have it done. Now, I am a law of attraction coach, and I want to do another piece of advice before we go on break, which is if you feel like you are grinding, you're probably pushing a rock uphill. At some point, you have to feel like this is part of the process to bring a book to market or a product or a service to market, or to have it shared widely. And this is probably the most important point for anybody who's starting a business, anybody who's writing a book, anybody who's starting a podcast, anybody who's starting a business, solopreneur, entrepreneur. And that is, you can have the best idea and you can have the best product, but if you don't know how to communicate it, or you don't accept that that is part of the process, then you're going to have a tough time. And I'm not saying that anytime you feel like this is hard work, that it's not something you should be doing, because this is where I blend in some of the traditional, how do you succeed? If you fall down 100 times, get up 101. If at first you don't succeed, try again. If you aren't doing something and it isn't painful, then you're not doing it enough. No pain, no gain. That is one of the traditional ways to see how you become successful. And then you've got the extreme other side of the law of attraction, which is all about allowing it, all about it shouldn't feel pushed. It shouldn't feel efforting. It shouldn't feel like you're pushing hard. And I agree with that too. But for me, my philosophy and my success has been a blend or a balance of both of those. Because yes, I don't do things unless I feel inspired to do them. But at the same time, there are some times when I know I need to do something, like make those calls to all of those bookstores and find out the manager and forge a relationship to try to have book signings. And at the same time, I also allow for synchronicity and things that happen out of the blue, like I'm having lunch and someone recognizes me and then they own a bookstore and ask me to do a book signing, or someone makes a suggestion for a publisher and I contact them and they end up being my publisher. So or I lose a $200,000 contract for consulting and end up being told by that voice to write, and I do, and I get contacted by a West Coast publisher, Motivational Press, who says, we follow speakers on LinkedIn. Are you writing anything? So my approach in success for PR for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs is a combination of meditate every day, get into the place where you are aligned with the power that creates the world, that can help with whatever you're trying to do, knowing that your only job is to plant seeds and listen for the inspired thought. And then at the same time, if your thought says, make the calls, sometimes I didn't feel like making the calls. Sometimes I didn't feel like asking for reviews. Sometimes I didn't feel like doing the things that I knew would help the process of communicating this book, or my coaching practice, or my Tai Chi, or whatever it is. So it's that combination of doing things that are inspired, and sometimes even when you don't feel like doing it, gospel according to Nike, do it anyways. And that has been my experience. Maybe it's because I'm not in tune enough for a purist as a law of attraction expert or coach or guru. Maybe I hedge it a little bit, and maybe if I had a little more faith. But I do believe, that some people think law of attraction just means sitting in front under a Bodhi tree and just putting a vision board together and just feeling it and it will come. And I believe that it's that, and most important, and which Esther Hicks says, is it's not that you don't have action, that it is inspired action. So that is my philosophy. When we come back, I'm going to give you more tips on how you can communicate and market your business, your book, your product, your service strategy for free. That's here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show on KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Want delicious Vietnamese Asian fusion cuisine that is so good for your health you won't believe your taste buds? Olac is a 100% plant-based vegan restaurant founded by Mai on living foods and a love for animals that won't make you sacrifice taste for health. 2 locations to delight you, downtown LA and Fountain Valley. So go to www.olac.com, AULAC, to book your reservation today. Saving the planet has never tasted so good.
Well, she has been dubbed the Asian Oprah, and she just wants all of us to be happy.
Dr. Marissa, aka the Asian Oprah, says the most important thing you can choose is choosing to be happy.
You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa.
That's the idea for Dr. Marissa Pay's new book called 8 Ways to Be Happy.
Many of us say, I am my own worst critic. Nobody's harder on me than I am. And my response to that is, stop it. Why are you doing that to yourself? You have to be your biggest fan, because if you can't at the end of the day say, I did a good job, who is? We don't have to constantly be angry at the things that are wrong. Why don't we choose to be happy about things that are right? We have the choice. That's our muscle. And life is so amazing if we can see it.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Marissa Central. If you free subscribe there, you'll get an alert every 8 a.m. weekday morning for a new show. And you'll also get playlists that have my interviews with Halle Berry, John Travolta, Quincy Jones, The Temptations, Jimmy Fallon, and more. As well, you can get my short film, New PPP Post-Pandemic Possibilities. I'm really grateful. I already have a laurel on my first film. It was part of my hashtag COVID Silver Lining, and also other fabulous meditation videos. If you have problems with meditating, I can help you with that as well. And that's all on my YouTube channel. There's the commercial for that. And you saw the knuckleball commercial, which is coming to market near you, so you can get it anywhere. You don't have to be in Northern California. And it is done by my Friday regular Fired Up Friday co-host, Cynthia Kahi. So you'll have to tune in for that. And while I'm talking about what's coming up, tomorrow's show, I have a very interesting guest. I think I've had one magician before on the show. His name is Jason Latimer. He's the series champion of the BBC One's The Magicians, the recipient of Siegfried and Roy's Masters of the Impossible Award, and was bestowed with Magic's highest honor, Grand Prix Best Overall World Champion of Magic. As a scientist, he's the creator of Impossible Science, the academic platform uniting magic and science to inspire wonder in education, which is now a popular YouTube channel with millions of views. Jason Latimer is not only changing education, he's on a mission to globally inspire wonder, and he will be my guest here tomorrow live. So you want to make sure to free subscribe on the channel. He's one of the keynote speakers for a big event that I'm also inviting you. I think there's spots left that I'm going to be again on stage for. I was a keynote speaker during the pandemic, so I was only in 2D, but they've invited me back. I think it's the first time in the history of STEAM Symposium, the STEAM. Those of you who are educators, please go get a ticket now. It's going to be a great event at the Anaheim Convention Center. I will be on stage on Sunday. Jason, I believe, is on Saturday. So you'll want to register for that event, and you'll get a taste of one of the keynotes tomorrow on my show live. Do not miss it. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have my regular every other week co-host Colette Tracy, who's my sensual woman expert. Thursday is Straight Talk with Sam Works and Dr. Marissa. And then Friday, as I mentioned, Cynthia. So we have a fabulous week coming up. You will not want to miss it. Keep it tuned here to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa. And hello to Baptiste Jean Niabizi, who is a fabulous supporter all over my social media. He's from Africa, and his friend, if you did not watch the amazing interview that I had with his friend, Frederick, who had his arms cut off about here by the Rwandan genocide, by the terrorists. It was an amazing, absolute, fabulous interview. Please go to my YouTube and get that for free, and you can watch that. He actually signs a book without arms, without hands at the end, just to see how amazing. And as we're talking about amazing people who have disabilities, or sorry, they don't have disability. They are persons with disabilities. You don't say handicapped people anymore. You say persons with disabilities, because the disabilities do not define them. I cannot speak about that without talking about one of my beautiful friends and speaking partners, Jessica Cox. She is amazing. The first armless pilot to fly herself solo. She's in the Guinness World Book of Records, and you can get her interview. She's come on the show a couple times, as well as an interview. As well as a video where I get to do her makeup for her. So that's getting a lot of love on my YouTube channel. So all of that and more. So that's what's coming up. Coming back to the topic at hand, a few more free tips for, we've got 15 minutes left for you. If you are an entrepreneur, solopreneur, thinking about starting your own business, what can you do for free or on a limited budget as a for PR for your book, product, or service. So I know there are so many people who say, I hate social media. I don't want to do social media. I don't want to put myself out there. It's uncomfortable. People are mean. They say mean things. Nobody likes my stuff, blah, blah, blah. So yes, you can look at it that way. But the way that I would prefer you to look at it is, do you know it's a few $1 million to have a commercial for 30 seconds on the Super Bowl? Actually, it's more than a few million. I think we're hundreds of millions of dollars. It is, I think, the average ad for 30 seconds on radio, depending on the channel, it's anywhere from 1,500 and up. On my show, you can do a 30-second commercial for $100 and up, depending on if you have the commercial, you want me to make it. $800 to have the commercial played anywhere on this NBC News Radio channel. $100 for 30 seconds on my show. So there are possibilities. If you want absolutely free, a place to play your videos or your 30-second commercial, social media. Free to open an account on LinkedIn, Spotify, or sorry, not Spotify, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of those things. I don't do Snapchat. I have to draw the line somewhere. I'm not active on Twitter. It's I chose to focus on Instagram. It's a different audience. You know, if your product or service is geared more to the ageless generation and not the millennials, then you'll want to make sure you have a Facebook account. Make sure you have a LinkedIn account. If you're marketing to younger, you have to have an Instagram account and you have to have a TikTok account. I'm sorry. But you never know. I started one. I didn't know what I was doing. It was all the fault of a friend of mine from the Agape International Choir. And he made me do it. And I said, I don't want to do it. And I did. And I have a video on there with 199.7 thousand views. Like, go figure. Instagram, I didn't want to do stories. I didn't want to do Instagram. And my friend, beautiful Dominique Lerma, who has a huge following. She's a makeup artist of the nth degree. And I have like 27,000 views on one of my drumming. I love drummers. If you're a drummer, no, I love drummers, and that got 27,000 views. Me dancing gets 7,000 or 8,000 views. A puppy dog that I filmed last week got 7,000 or 8,000 views. So you start wherever you are and you just post, even when you don't feel like it. I am proud to say that every single one of my posts for the last, how many years have I been active on social? Like 10 years. I think I started Facebook 13 years ago, Instagram only 4 or 5 years ago. Don't buy likes. I don't artificially try to up my numbers because one, it screws up your algorithm, and two, it's unfruitful cheating. And people have all told me that, oh my God, you're so popular, people know you, you're an influencer. Why are your numbers not in the 5 or 6 digits instead of 5 digits? And on purpose, I don't believe in I believe in organic growth, and I also believe that positive will win. That when it comes to negative or positive news, every single one of my posts have been positive, and they're not all about promoting the product or service. But here's the other free tip. If you can't believe in what you are selling, then don't sell it. Because I am a person that I hate the word selling. I hate even thinking about, peddling something or trying to offer you something and selling you something that you don't need. But as I learned, I want to give the person credit, but I honestly don't remember who taught me this. It is not about selling, it's about sharing, which is why the thing that you are offering as a product or a service or a book, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that this is something that you created, that you really believe will help someone. And here's the key. There is a product for every person out there. There's a service for every person out there to want and like. You do not have to be someone huge. You do not have to have a huge name. You don't have to be Tony Robbins. I just watched that Netflix. He didn't have a following of what he has now. It took time, and he believes in himself so strongly. So the work, a free tip here is you have to believe in yourself and that you are a wonderful, kind, wonderful, and you do have creativity and inspiration to bring something to market. You absolutely do not have to be a cog in a wheel. You can make a lot of money in an organization, work your way up the ladder. But guess what? For every ladder, there's one top, and there's hundreds of thousands of disappointed people. So I believe there's an entrepreneur, solopreneur in everyone. I believe that you have something unique that you can share with others and that you can make money, energy, doing so. It may not be your main gig. It can be your side gig, and maybe it becomes your main gig, or maybe not. Maybe you love your job in whatever organization. Make that you feel good about what you're doing. I believe that everybody has a unique talent, gift, and ability to bring to the market. And your job is to find free ways in which to advertise. Social media is definitely one of them. Now, let's go to the next free thing I'm going to give you, which is how do you create an enticing way of talking about your book, product, or service? And this is where a lot of people fall down. And I have a lot of people come to me for advice and for consulting and for mentoring on how to bring their product and service to market in terms of communication. And this is where my PhD comes in pretty handy, and my experience in crafting commercials for you. So if you have, let's say I'm going to do a free one for a person who is asking to come on my show, and she's actually come on before, and she has a book, and let's see if I can pull it out. I'm going to offer this to her because she is a person that I know from Agape, and she has tried, and she's hired people to help her who have taken advantage of her. And this is the other free tip, is be very careful of who you hire. I myself got conned to the tune of, it could have been $25,000 or more. It ended up being $5,000 that I had to pay just to get her out of my life. And this is the problem too with self-development, is there's a lot of people out there who say, this is the way to market, this is the way to communicate, this is the way. And I'm saying that my advice is good for some people, not all people. So I don't believe there's one way, but I believe that there's a person who will help you in your way. So it's balancing, you don't try to fix your own car, you go to a mechanic. Yes, it's good to invest in people, but be very careful if they have a one size fits all approach. I don't believe that exists. That's my BS, my belief system. I believe there's a consumer and a customer for every great idea. And I believe that everyone has a great idea to help somewhere. So, I was going to say, just as an example of how to market, she has a book, and her book's name is Forgive My Trespasses. Let's see. Forgive Me My Trespasses. And it's her story about her journey from going from living in the American dream to battling, homelessness, mental health issues, and ultimately finding peace, healing, victory, and rebirth. So this is a book that she's put together, and I would suggest for her, if she was to do a commercial on that, it's kind of like that, what is it called? The elevator pitch. Is you only have a certain number of seconds introducing yourself to people, and a lot of people go into way too much detail on who they are that they lose the person. And a lot of them are what I call pillow communicators. They come from a culture, or they believe that they really want you to understand, so they're going to give you the entire whole story. Unfortunately, a lot of us in America are arrow communicators, and we want you to get to the point. We don't have time for all of the details, but we want the headlines only. So the only problem, thank you, Polly, 3 minutes. The only problem with arrows is sometimes we're too blunt and to the point, and we hurt people's feelings, which is also not a good thing. So I am, for her book, I would say we want a hook, and hooks usually start with questions. For me, I found that if I said, "Are you afraid of being homeless?" that would be a good starting point of introducing your book or your topic or your service, if that is around homeless. Are you afraid of being homeless? I was too, but now I know that being homeless gave me one of the most important gifts to life. Go get my book, Forgive Me My Trespasses, at Amazon, blah, 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 blah. That's 30 seconds, started with a hook, the hook being a question, the hook not being you need to hook people and trying to convince them to get something that they don't need. I believe that everybody's experiences, especially the hard ones, are ways in which we can help each other on the planet, because you have a unique gift and ability that came out of that hardship. And that's why I believe that everyone has that product and service. Hopefully that was a good free advice tip for you. If you'd like some coaching when it comes to writing a book, or taking the book to market, or taking a podcast to market, or coming up with a podcast, I do offer those consulting services based on my experience and my success, which I'm truly grateful for, and is definitely a product of doing gospel according to Nike, just do it, as well as the law of attraction, and being open to being inspired by my UPS man, my universal power source, who delivers every morning when I pray and meditate. I hope you've enjoyed this free advice on branding, marketing, PR. If you'd like to have your own commercial on my show, please do contact me at drmarissa.life. Don't forget, tomorrow, Jason Latimer, a world-renowned magician, will be live on my show. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from my living room, wishing you, it's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go forth and have the best day ever.